Good morning to everyone. In this class, I will explain the concept of width of the central maxima and also secondary maxima in case of diffraction pattern. Already this is derived in the previous video. So in case of diffraction pattern, first we will derive the formula for angular width of the central maxima. Suppose this is a slit. Width of the slit is equal to small a, and a beam of light, it is spreading like this, where y is equal to linear distance of the first minima on one side. Theta is equal to angular position of the first minima, angular position. Total 2 theta should be equivalent to angular width of the central maxima, y plus y is equal to 2y, this should be equivalent to linear width of the central maxima. So see here, this is the first minima or dark. It is also the first minima. For dark, the path difference a sin theta is equal to n lambda. For the first one, n is equal to 1. Therefore, if theta is also very small, a into theta is equal to lambda, or theta is equal to lambda by a. Therefore, angular width of the central maxima is equal to 2 theta, that should be equal to 2 lambda by a. Also, linear width of the central maxima is equivalent. For diffraction minima, a sin theta is equal to lambda and n is equal to 1 for first minima. If theta is very small, sin theta is approximately tan theta. Tan theta is also equal to y by d. Therefore, y is equivalent to lambda capital D by small a. Now, a linear width of the central maxima is equal to 2y. It is equivalent to 2 lambda capital D by a. It is represented by beta naught. Beta naught is equal to 2y is equal to 2 lambda d by a. It is the linear width of the central maxima in diffraction pattern. Again, suppose from this diagram it is clearly seen here. This is the first dark. Also, this is maybe it is second dark. Now, the difference between second dark and first dark should be equivalent to width of the second maxima. It is first dark and it is second dark. Difference between these two should be equivalent to width of the second maxima. Therefore, here for diffraction minima, a sin theta is equal to lambda. Already it is proved. Beta naught equal to 2 lambda d by a. Again, linear width of the secondary maxima. It is the angular separation between the diffraction of nth and n plus 1th minima. Suppose 1 and 2, or 2 and 3, or 3 and 4. Cut nth and n plus 1th minima. Now, for nth minima, theta n is equivalent to n lambda by a. For n plus 1th minima, theta n plus 1 is equal to n plus 1 into lambda by a. Angular width of the secondary minima is equal to theta n plus 1 minus theta n. So after solving this is equivalent to lambda by a. What is this? It is the angular width of the secondary maxima. Next, linear width of the secondary maxima is equivalent to angular width into capital D. Right? Linear width of the secondary maxima is equal to angular width into capital D. Already it is proved that. Beta is equal to lambda by a into capital D, where lambda by a is equal to angular width. So, the width of secondary maxima is equal to beta equal to lambda d by a. For central maxima, beta naught is equal to 2 lambda d by a. From equations 1 and 2, beta naught is equal to 2 beta. Means the width of the central maxima is equivalent to 2 times the width of the secondary maxima. Okay na? Right. So clearly, the width of secondary maximum is inversely proportional to slit width. As the slit width increases, means as A increases, the secondary maxima gets narrowed. అది అండర్స్టాండ్. ఏ వాల్యూ ఇంక్రీజ్ చేసినప్పుడు బీటా వాల్యూ డిక్రీజ్ అవుతూ ఉంది అంటే విడ్త్ ఆఫ్ ది సెకండరీ మ్యాక్సిమా విల్ బి డిక్రీజెస్. సపోజ్ ఇఫ్ ద స్లిట్ ఈస్ sufficiently wide, the secondary maxima disappears and only the central maxima is obtained, which is the sharp image of the slit. Okay na? As theta decreases, beta increases. Theta increases A increases up to certain value. Entire screen lo secondary maxima disappear అవుతోంది. Only there is a central maxima. That means uniform illumination will be formed on the screen. Right? Okay. Next one, how the validity of ray optics. In general, first one, optics is divided into two types. ఒకటి optics is divided into two types. First one, ray optics. Second one, physical optics or wave optics. So ray optics పేర్లోనే ఉందండి. ray optics or geometrical optics. This total ray optics or geometrical optics explain the properties of rectilinear propagation of light. That rectilinear propagation of light explain the reflection as well as refraction. That means throughout ray optics or throughout geometrical optics, rectilinear propagation of light is valid. Whereas in case of wave optics and in case of diffraction phenomena, it is a slit, and as the light is going along the straight line direction, at the edges the light is bending. The light is bending means straight line propagation of the light is failed to explain in this concept. Okay na? So rectilinear means straight line propagation. Straight line propagation explain the concept of geometrical optics. So in diffraction concept, light cannot be propagated in straight line directions, and a rectilinear propagation of light is approximately, it is not valid in case of diffraction. At the sharp edges the light is bending. So that's why in this question is, and what are the conditions for validity of ray optics? It is also called, and what is meant by Fresnel distance. In general, there is a question, this is asked in CBSE examinations. Geometrical optics is based on the rectilinear propagation of light. Diffraction effect shows that light does not travel in straight lines. Under what conditions the concept of ray optics is valid? Also define Fresnel's distance and size of the Fresnel zone. Okay, Nandi? Right. Suppose here it is an experiment. So this is the experiment, simple experiment. Ray optics as it is the limiting case of wave optics. Suppose it is a parallel beam of light. Let this parallel beam of light is made to incident on this slit, and a screen is kept at a distance capital D from these slits. So at the edges of the slit, the light is bending so that the light will be encroaches within the geometrical shadow above the point C and also below the point D. Therefore, the property of the light which is bending at the edge of the obstacle or slit and also encroaches within the geometrical shadow is known as the diffraction. Let P is any point in the diffraction region distant at Y from the central maxima. Similarly, this diffraction is also bending, diffraction approaches just below the point D also. AB is a slit. Width of the slit is equal to small a. So in between CD there is a uniform illumination. Above the point C and below the point D, as it is completely dark, but due to diffraction, there is no sharp boundary at the point C as well as at the point D. So gradually the intensity of light will be decreases like this. Here also intensity of the light will be decreases up to certain level. Above this point there is a complete dark and it is also a dark region. In between C and P or D and this point there is a diffraction phenomenon observed, which are like diffraction maxima and diffraction minima are alternately formed in between C and P as well as D2 below this point, right? Here A is equal to width of the slit, capital D is equal to distance of the screen from the slits, lambda is equal to wavelength of the light used here. We know that angular width of the diffracted beam theta is equal to, from the diagram it is equal to lambda by A. Already it is proved in previous section, equation 1. Now linear width of the diffraction beam is equal to y is equal to lambda d by A, right? It is equation 2. So if the diffraction spread is very small means if the point P is approaches to C, as P approaches to C means diffraction spread is decreases. That is, the concept of ray optics is valid, right? As P approaches to C means there is no diffraction at this point. There is no bending of light at this point. There is no bending of light means light is propagated in straight line direction. Straight line propagation of light is also called as rectilinear propagation of light, right? Rectilinear propagation of light explains the geometrical optics. Are you understand? So that's why as the diffraction spread is minimum, P approaches to C, bending of light will be approximately 0. As bending is 0, light is traveling in straight line direction. It is called rectilinear propagation. That means ray optics is valid. So that's why if the diffraction spread is very small, the concept of ray optics is valid. Okay na? Right. Here one more important definition. What is meant by Fresnel distance? Fresnel. So in previous class, diffraction is of two types in Japan. Fresnel diffraction and also Fraunhofer diffraction. In case of Fresnel diffraction, both source and screen are kept at finite distance from the slit. Nature of the wavefront is spherical, right? So the distance at which the diffraction spread of a beam is equal to size of the aperture is called Fresnel distance. Very simple and ఇక్కడ width of the slit is equal to small a. Diffraction spread, linear distance of the diffraction spread is equal to y. Okay na? Suppose if y is equal to a, ante width of the diffraction spread is equal to width of the slit, then the distance from slits and screen should be equivalent to Fresnel distance, right? That is, when y is equal to a, capital D is equal to df. df is called as the Fresnel distance. Once again see this definition. The distance at which diffraction spread is or diffraction spread of the beam is equal to size of the aperture is called, size of the aperture means size of the slit, is called the Fresnel distance. When y is equal to small a, capital D is equal to df. Therefore small a is equal to, again you know, y is equal to, what is the formula? Lambda d by a. Therefore y is equal to, here small a is equal to lambda d replaced by df by a. Therefore df is equal to a square by lambda. df is also called as the Fresnel distance. Okay randi? What is the formula for Fresnel distance? df is equal to a square by lambda, where here a is equal to slit width or width of the aperture, lambda is equal to wavelength of light used. But in some books, small a is equal to d. What is small a? Width of the slit is taken as d, small d to చూపిస్తాడు నీకు ఇది. If a is equal to small d, then df is equal to d square by lambda. where here d is equal to width of the slit or aperture. Small d is equal to width of the slit or aperture. So Fresnel distance df is equal to d square by lambda. In intermediate academic textbooks, in small a is replaced instead of d. That's why df is equal to d square by lambda. Okay na? So this is the formula for Fresnel distance. So next one, let here, if capital D is less than df, capital D, and the distance between slits and screen should be less than the Fresnel distance, then there will not be the too much spreading by the diffraction. That is, the light will travel along the straight line direction and concept of ray optics will be valid. Okay nandi? As d less than df, d less than df means here in this example, as d will be decreases, d will be decreases means the spreading point p will be approaches to c. Suppose if d is less than Fresnel distance df, at that moment diffraction spread is negligible. That means light is traveling in straight line direction. Means rectilinear propagation of light is valid. That means ray optics is valid. So that's why when d is less than df, then there will not be too much spreading of diffraction. That is, the light will travel along a straight line direction and the concept of ray optics will be valid. As d less than df or capital D less than df is equal to d square by lambda, small d square by lambda. Therefore d should be greater than root lambda into capital D. So this is the condition for validity of ray optics. Are you understand? D should be greater than root of lambda into d. For a given capital D, the quantity root of lambda d is called the size of Fresnel zone and it is denoted by df. So df is also equivalent to root of lambda d. This is size of the Fresnel zone and is also equivalent to diameter of the Fresnel zone. Diameter of the Fresnel zone. ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను వాట్ ఈస్ మెన్ బై ఏ Fresnel zone, తర్వాత ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తాను. రైట్? సో వాట్ ఇస్ ద ఫార్ములా ఫర్ Fresnel zone? df is equal to root of lambda into d. Next one here, what is meant by a Fresnel zone, and also they are called half period zones. Suppose here, see here, S is a point-wise source. In case of Fresnel diffraction, the wavefront coming from the source which is incident on this slit is taken as a spherical wavefront. It is a spherical wavefront. Okay na? Primary spherical wavefront. And so ikkad nunchi at certain distance there is a screen and this is a point P where the diffraction bands are observed on the screen. Let the distance of the point P, suppose this is a straight line which is joining S to P. Okay na? Now this spherical primary wavefront is cut into number of circular zones. 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. These are the circular zones. ఎలా అంటే సపోజ్ ఆనియన్ తీసుకుందాం అనుకోండి. ఆనియన్, లెట్ ద ఆనియన్ ఈస్ కట్ ఇన్ లైక్ దిస్. కట్ చేసినప్పుడు ఈచ్ అండ్ ఎవ్రీ పార్ట్ దట్ ఈస్ టేకెన్ ఇన్ ద ఫార్మ్ ఆఫ్ ఏ సర్కిల్, అప్రాక్సిమేట్లీ ఏ సర్క్యులర్ ప్యాచ్ ఇలా వస్తుంది. సో ఇన్ దిస్ వే ది స్పెరికల్ వేవ్ ఫ్రంట్ ఈస్ కట్ ఇన్ టు number of circular zones. Right? So these circular zones which are divided the total spherical wavefront, they are called as the Fresnel zones. Now how these Fresnel zones are called as the half period zones, say for example, and how to cut the spherical wavefront in the form of circular rings. And what is the condition ante, suppose the light coming from the first zone, this is the first ring anukunnam anukondi, the light coming from the first ring to reach the point P. It is a circular ring, circular ring. All the light rays coming from this total ring on reaching the point P having no phase difference, because path difference is same. Phase difference is equal to 0. That means at the point P there is a bright band is formed. Let the distance of the point P from the first circular fringe or circular zone is equal to, say it is B. Second ring is cut or second zone is cut such that the distance traveled by the light from second ring to the point P should be equal to, ఇది ఎంత ఉంటే కట్ చేయాలి అని అంటే should be equivalent to B plus lambda by 2. Also, the light ray coming from the third one to reach the point P, and this distance is equivalent to B plus 2 lambda by 2. And also for next one, B plus 3 lambda by 2 and so on. Okay, Randy? On reaching the point P, what is the path difference between two light rays coming from the successive zones? It is B. It is B plus lambda by 2. It is B plus 2 lambda by 2. Difference between them is equivalent to lambda by 2 kada. Cut path difference between two light rays coming from the successive zones, it should be equivalent to lambda by 2. This is the path difference. Again, it is a wave. Length of the wave means from this point to this point is known as the lambda wavelength. Total time taken by the single wave is equal to total time taken by this wave is equivalent to capital T time period. And here path difference between two successive light rays should be equivalent to, what is this? Lambda by 2. Lambda by 2 means దీంట్లో half. Time taken for the half wave is equal to T by 2. T by 2 means half the time period. Half the time period. That's why these zones are called as the half period zones. Half period zones. Scientist Fresnel divided the spherical wavefront in the form of circular zones such that path difference between any two light rays coming from the successive zones is equivalent to lambda by 2, which corresponds to a time period of capital T by 2, means half the time period. That's why these zones are called as the half period zones. Right? Okay. It is the first zone, circular zone, and this is the second one. So ఈ మొత్తాన్ని మనము just see, normally from this position we are having this one. This is the first one, second one, third one and so on. So ఇవన్నీ half period zones. Also here radius of the half period zone is equal to smaller అనుకుంటే radius of the half period zone is equivalent to R is